Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host. And we just recently had Veterans Day. I'm a veteran. And thank you to all the veterans out there who have served. And this is kind of for Veterans Day in a way. Because, like I say, I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and then examine the stories and the art. And this time, we're going to do Blazing Battle Action with Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, number 153 from 1979, which is actually a reprint of Sergeant Fury number 58 from 1968, I believe it was. Yeah. Of course, Sergeant Fury was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And Fury was very much a Kirby-esque figure. Type of character. So let's see what I've got here. Not a whole lot. Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, number 153 from 1979, or a reprint of number 58 from 1968. It was written by Arnold Drake, drawn by Dick Ayers, with inks by John Severin. There's a good combination right there. And Arnold Drake, is from 1924 to 2007. He was an American comic book writer and screenwriter, co-created Dead Man and the Doom Patrol at DC Comics, and he co-created Guardians of the Galaxy at Marvel. And these aren't the same characters that you see in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies or in the comics today. They were a completely different cast of characters. He was born in Manhattan, and he spent a year at home when he was a kid. He spent a year at home because of scarlet fever. And that's when he was 12 years old. And while he was confined for that year, he started drawing his own comic strips. And years later, at the University of Missouri and the New York University, he studied journalism, which is probably how he learned how to write. With a co-writer, he started writing stories for St. John's Publications in 1950. He met neighbor Bob Kane, co-creator of Batman, who got him on with DC. He worked on all genres of stories, including science fiction and mystery horror titles. And there he created the Doom Patrol. And may have inspired the X-Men, because the Doom X-Men were kind of a rip-off of the Doom Patrol. And he worked for DC in 68. He freelanced at Marvel on Captain Savage, the war comic, similar to Sergeant Fury. And then over to Sergeant Fury. He wrote prolifically for both companies over the years, and he did mystery comics at Gold Key, including Dark Shadows and Star Trek. Ah. So he was a trekker. And Gold Key Star Trek Comics has has a certain spot in the hearts of a lot of Trek fans, even though, especially in the earlier issues, they were terribly ignorant of Star Trek lore, because when they started, there wasn't a whole lot of it. But even what there was, they didn't know how to deal with. Didn't know how to write. Okay. Let us go back to the horrible days of World War II with Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos. Okay, there's Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos. I'll get a better view of that cover drawing by Dick Ayers and inked by John Severin. They were a good team, good artistic team. Here we go. At last, Fury's lunatics open their own second front. And of course, as I said, this was originally this was a reprint from number 58. It was written squarely during the middle of the Vietnam era. It had nothing to do with Vietnam. Had that Kirby drawing of Fury there up in the corner box. Now, I've said before many times about Dick Ayers. I like his work. He did. I think his best work, of course, was on the war comics and the Western comics, and he did a lot of the Western stuff going back to the early 50s, and that is definitely his best stuff. And I especially like his work when it's inked by John Severin, or like later at DC when it was inked by I was suddenly I've forgotten his name. He was a Filipino artist. He used to do Jonah Hex. And I'm suddenly drawing a blank. And I really like his stuff too. Tony Desaniga. That's it. Okay. Get in here. Blazing battle action. This is some cool charts right off the bat. It says, right in the Fuhrer's face. Yep. And there it is. So right off with with Hitler stamping his foot, stomping around in a fury, which was not uncommon, as he's flanked by his head of propaganda, Goebbels, and head of the Luftwaffe, Himmler. And he's ranting and raving about the Third Reich is being embarrassed by Sergeant Fury and his commandos, all these commandos. Some great shots of portraiture of these lunatics. And he's still ranting and raving. And then they said, there's one person who can help us. He's a chameleon, the man of 1,000 faces. And then all the floating heads here to indicate the people he can imitate. And he says, well, how do we know, yada yada, how do we know he's going to fool everybody? And then Goebbels takes his face off, and it's him. Goebbels was never there. And then he salutes. Yeah. But I like these first 3 pages are just Hitler ranting. And it shows, but he says this proves, because you didn't suspect. I did a perfect imitation of Goebbels, and then without actually showing the faces, but you can indicate the cigar here. Here he is, Churchill, and then look, but I love the look on Hitler's face here. And then he imitates Franklin, and then he does Fury himself. So then we switch to the commandos. What are they doing? Tick, 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 tick. And they're scampering away, and kablooey! And they're about battered with falling debris. And then there's Fury chewing them out because they're practicing for an operation. And he said, all they're too slow. There's a few seconds too slow here and there, and you wouldn't have got away. And then later, we see here they are in some downtime. And Dino, okay, for those who don't know, I can't remember Dino's last name. Dino here, he was a Hollywood movie star turned commando. He's a performer. Here he is singing some songs, and everyone's just gabbing. And this other sergeant comes rushing in and says, Dino, get over to the captain's office. He wants to see you right now. Captain Sawyer. He goes over and sees Captain Sawyer, and Captain Sawyer says, you know, what's his name? This actor, yeah, John Barrymore is supposed to be, you know, John Barrymore, who was a famous actor at the time. But said, yeah, I know him, and he's supposed to go see him. He's in town for here in London for their USO stuff, supposedly, and gonna has him go see him. Oh, yep, there he is, because he wants him to be his personal go-between. And there they are having a good old time, and then he says something that kind of makes Dino just a little bit suspicious. Distracts him with a lovely lady, puts a Mickey in his drink, and then, oh, you drugged me, what the heck, what? Tries to slug him, but no go. And then pretends he's just drunk, takes him back, and here, takes him away in a cab, and here he is. The joke's over. He says, oh, it's no joke, and he reveals himself. You, the man of 1,000 faces, you blank-faced hiney. And says, oh, yeah, we need you. We need you for something. And here we see him putting on another disguise, but we don't see what it is because it's in the shadows. Then on at the back at the base, an intelligence officer comes in to Captain Sawyer and says that their unit's got to move. They've been infiltrated. They got to have their secret headquarters moved, and Dino has been captured by the enemy. Yada yada yada, and but they've got this plan for them to get in and get Dino out as he's being hustled to Berlin through Norway. So here they are. They got this plan. Got this plane flying him in low. Got this prearranged spot into the fjords, and it's heavy, high canyons, walls on each side, very narrow passageway in this fjord. And here they come up. It says, holy crow, a Nazi carrier just sitting there and waiting for us. Yep. But something ain't right. Oh, and because they had to cut their engines, try to sneak in, and they've got to land. So they go in to land, and this is where the story kind of gets a little silly, but it's not quite as silly as you'd think. They hustle off, and now they're talking. This is odd because the Nazis aren't supposed to have any aircraft carriers. I looked it up. They had one aircraft carrier, and this one ain't it. And so it's all part of the plan. They get down and they hustle off, but you're not seeing much, so they're getting out. And I like this here. It says with Fury making a comment, says, wait till I tell this Jane's Naval Guide publishers how they goofed. That's real. It's Jane's Fighting Ships publishing about aircraft and warships for all over the world for decades, even before World War II, and it's used for training and intelligence and stuff like that, because it's got all kinds of information about about ships and aircraft. Yeah, we had a copy on board ship when I was in the Navy. Okay, so they're getting down and then getting ready to get under fire, and of course they're just clipping right and left constantly. And then how they suddenly get under fire, and they're shooting back, brap, brap, brap. Got these big guns, boom, 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 boom. And here's the guy who was the intelligence agent who was supposed to be on their side. He's really a ratsy. And they want to get him. They want to get all in there, ducking for cover and stuff. And said, "There's got to be thousands of men on this ship. We can't go against all of them, but they go head first right into. There's Dino, and get him free and get him armed. And now they're all fighting, and these German soldiers are kind of backing off, or sailors rather, kind of backing off, and just can't compare to the fighting ability of the Howlers. Yeah. And just quip right and left. It's mostly gab in the midst of the battle. You can hear the battle in the background. Till finally they have to surrender. So there got to be a lot of boys on this ship. Let's go get them all rounded up. And there aren't there's only just a few guys. Here they are against their head enemy. And here they go head to head with Fury. Fisticuffs, mano a mano, and then takes his face off, realizes it's fake, who he is, and he jumps over the side. Ah! Then they take off. They can't take all these Nazis with them, so they have to set them free and loose in boats. And it's not a whole crew. They can't say, why is there no large crew on this aircraft carrier? And they set bombs and blow it up. Kablooey! And it turns out it's a dummy. The whole thing is a dummy. The idea was to get Fury and his commandos, let one of them escape to tell the high command that the Nazis have new aircraft carriers. And then they would come in to try to take out this aircraft carrier, and it would be a trap for the Air Corps. And of course, meanwhile, they'd be taking out Fury and his commandos. Da-da-da, Dino's safe, everyone's safe, and the Nazis are down one dummy aircraft carrier. Next issue, D-Day for Dum Dum. So, nice action-packed little story. I like this because it's one and done. That's the way, for the most part, I like my comics. Not always. Sometimes a 2 or 3 issue story arc is fine. I just hate these ones that go on and on and on. But that's a lot of fun for battle action. Overall, they're not as good as the DC war comics, because they were usually more somber and I don't know what I want to say, but this is a more lighthearted look at war, there really is no real lighthearted look at war. But heck, we had some good, like McHale's Navy on TV and Hogan's Heroes. So we poking fun at the bad guys, mostly. Okay, that's all I've got for Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos. Some good artwork, some good storytelling. John Severin doing some great inks on some good Dick Ayers artwork, and I think Frank Arnold did a good job of concocting this little story. I really like those first 3 pages of Hitler ranting, and that had some really, really nice artwork on those pages, making those characters look real, look like the real people. Okay, thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, and remember, comics are art.